Good evening once again. I'd like to wrap up my treatment of the various appearances of Jesus after he rose from the dead with one more, and one which has a lot of special meaning for me. This was the first gospel text that I ever preached on. I was working at a parish in Rome and had been ordained a deacon on Thursday, and that Sunday, this was the gospel for that Sunday because it was in the Easter season. And as a result, it's always been a special appearance story from Jesus' resurrection. And so I'd like to just refer to it today. It starts a little bit earlier where Peter and the other disciples have gone back to being fishermen. Now, whether they were just out to go fishing to relax or whether they thought they were going back into their old profession, who knows? The gospel writer doesn't tell us. But they are out fishing, and they go along, and as they're fishing, they're not catching much, and then Jesus walks along the shore, and they recognize him right away. And when they get to shore, they discover that he's already started to cook some fish on the fire to have a little breakfast with them. And after the breakfast, Jesus takes Peter for a walk. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" Peter said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And Jesus said, "Feed my lambs." Then Jesus said a second time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him again, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And Jesus said, "Then tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And Peter was upset that Jesus asked him a third time, "Do you love me?" He said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." And Jesus said to him, "Then feed my sheep. Amen, amen, I say to you, when you were younger, you used to dress yourself and go where you wanted. But when you grow older, you will stretch out your hands and someone else will hold you fast and lead you where you would rather not go." And then the gospel writer comments, Jesus said this, signifying by what kind of death Peter would glorify God. And then he said to him, "Follow me." I think I said in one of my earlier talks that journey or the road or the path is always a symbol in the scriptures of our personal growing in faith or our journey of faith with Jesus. Now, Peter is arguably the disciple about whose spiritual life we know the most, because Peter never had an unspoken thought. Peter always said what was on his mind, so we always knew what Peter was thinking. As a result, we hear him often in the Gospels. And one of the last things we heard before this scene was the denial that Peter made, that just heart-rending experience, especially when Peter recognized what he had actually done and how Jesus had foretold it at the Last Supper. What a heart-rending experience that was. 3 times, Peter denies that he knows Jesus. Well, in this little walk along the shore, Jesus asked Peter, coincidentally, maybe not, 3 times, "Do you love me, Peter? Do you love me?" It's a powerful scene, I think. They say that some people are mountain people. They find God on the mountaintop. And other people are ocean people or water people. And by the water, especially where the tide is coming in, people experience God's presence. I don't know whether you're a mountain person or a water person, but in this situation, picture Peter and Jesus walking along the path, having that what sounded like a very intimate and personal conversation. and Jesus asking Peter 3 times, "Do you love me?" Some people look at that and that says, well, Jesus was calling upon Peter to make up for those 3 times that he denied him. Who knows if it was? But whatever it was a great personal experience of the relationship that Peter had with Jesus and that Jesus had with Peter. Because remember, in our faith, we really believe that Jesus just doesn't relate with everybody as a big community, but Jesus relates personally with each of us. And that it's in the personal experiences of our lives that we come to recognize him, that we come to understand where he's leading us, that we gain his inspiration and whatever. And Peter certainly did, as Jesus pushes him and pushes him and pushes him, and then sums it all up by saying, "Okay, you're ready? Follow me." And after that, Peter became one of the greatest of all the apostles, the leader of the apostles, and eventually even gave his own life. He became a martyr for his faith in Jesus and because of the work on behalf of Jesus that he was doing. It's a wonderful scene. Another one of these resurrection stories where people experience Jesus alive. And Peter experienced Jesus alive in a real personal way. How do you experience Jesus really alive? Don't necessarily go right for a church or a Bible to find that, but look in the personal experiences of your life, because that's where Jesus is with you, walking with you. Remember that wonderful little reflection that you oftentimes find on holy cards called footprints. And the experience is again of someone walking with Jesus along the shore of the sea and wondering, why weren't you there when I was having troubles? And looking back and Jesus saying, well, when he only saw one set of footprints, that's when I carried you. What's the personal way that you have experienced God in your life? We call them around here our God sightings. Have you had one lately? That's a good point to reflect on tonight. Have a peaceful and restful night.